Hello and welcome. In this tutorial I will show you how to create a painting that looks like a paper cut. For this project we will only use standard brushes. I will explain every step. So for this project we will create a pond with some rocks and plants in it and also with fish. We will have some rocks and plants and trees around the pond and some other tiny things to make our picture more colorful. Let's begin. So I create a new canvas for this project and the dimensions are 2500 by 2500 pixels. The DPI I set at 600, but you can go lower if you want, which gives us more than 100 layers, and that's plenty. So I create the new canvas, and the first thing I want to do is to fill my first layer with a background color. So I go into the color selection, choose dark blue, and fill in by simply dragging the color onto my canvas, and you can see everything is blue already. I create a new layer and I go into my brush library, and in the inking folder I select the studio pen. When you click on the brush once, you can see the menu on the left side, and you can turn the stabilization up to 100%, which makes the lines smoother when we draw. And in the middle, I want to draw a shape that looks very natural, like a pond. So I go into my colors, go slightly brighter with the color. I can also shift the hue a bit towards green and draw a shape like this. Then I can tap on the color and drag it onto the canvas. So then I create a new layer and I go to my color selection, go slightly brighter with the color and shift the hue a bit and draw another shape on top of it. You can overlap the shape you have drawn before, so it looks more natural. Then we drag the color onto the layer and fill it in. I create another layer, go again slightly brighter with the color, shift the hue a bit and draw another shape. And fill the color in. I do it one more time, create a new layer, go a bit brighter, shift the hue very slightly and draw another shape on top of it. And I fill the color in. I create a new layer, and this time I will choose a dark brown color because it will look like soil. So then inside the pond, I want to have some rocks and stones and maybe some grassy kind of things. Back to my first layer. the color selection and choose a fairly dark, desaturated kind of blue. And then I will draw some shapes that look like rocks. One more. And I will fill in. Then I will go to my second layer, go to my color menu, go slightly brighter, and draw another rock shape on top of the other one. Will then go to my third layer, go to the color menu, go again slightly brighter, and repeat the process and draw another shape on top of the previous one. Do it one more time. I go to my fourth layer, go brighter with the color, and draw another shape on top of it. To my fifth layer, go again slightly brighter with the color and draw a very tiny shape on top of it. I then go to the sixth layer, which is the brown one, and I create another layer on top of it. And I want to draw some grass and moss and maybe also some rocks. So I go to the color menu, choose a green color this time, and draw some shapes that represent grass, moss, and all sorts of things. I will then create a new layer so we can draw on top of it and make the whole thing more three-dimensional. So I choose a slightly brighter color and again draw on top of the shapes on the layer below. I then open another layer and repeat the process by going slightly brighter and drawing some more shapes on top of it. Then I create another layer on top of it and choose some sort of desaturated brown color in order to draw rocks to the pond. Then I create another layer on top of that, go again slightly brighter with my color, and like before, draw another shape on top of it. Open one more layer and repeat the process. Then I want to draw some grass inside the pond. For that I go to my first layer, choose a dark green color, go to my brush menu, and in the inking folder I select the Studio Pen again. And draw some grass shapes in the pond. I then go to my second layer, go to my colors, go slightly brighter, and repeat the process. The more pressure you put on the Studio Pen, the thicker the line will become, and the less pressure you use, the thinner it gets. I go to my third layer, go to my colors, go slightly brighter, and repeat the process. I then go to my fourth layer, create another layer on top of it, go to my brushes, and in the folder Elements, I select the water brush. I set it to about 23%, full opacity, choose a bright blue color, and apply the water pattern on this layer. So everything underneath that water pattern is of course below the water surface, and everything else is above the water reflection, so we can't see the water reflection on the layers that are above. I then click on Adjustments and on Gaussian Blur, and I move the pencil slightly to the right to about 2 or 3% to blur that water effect a little bit. I then go into my layers. Then I go to layer number 4. Choose this very bright yellow color. Go into my brushes. In the airbrush folder, choose the hard brush. And now I start drawing some fish in the pond. I go to my Studio Pen in order to have a little bit more control with the shapes. Go back to my brushes, to the hard brush, and draw another fish. Go to the inking folder, choose my Studio Pen in order to get more control. If you're not happy with the placement of your fish, you can click then on the selection tool, go to freehand and circle the object you want to move, And then you can move it around, turn it, change the size of the object and place it wherever you want. I go then into my layers and click on the layer I am on and alpha lock it. Then I choose a vivid orange color and draw a pattern on the fish to make it more colorful. We use the alpha lock so it will lock down everything you have painted on that layer. So now when you draw something else on top of that, it will stay within the shape. So the light is coming from the top right corner. So I want to add some shading to the fish. In order to do that, I go to my brushes, select the soft brush, lower the size and the opacity, choose a slightly darker color and add a little bit of shading. I then do the same thing for the other fish in a slightly darker orange color. So with everything below the water surface, we are basically done. And now on top of the water surface, I also want to have some elements. I want to paint some water lilies, and for that I will go to my layer number 5 and I will create a new layer on top of it. Choose this bright green color I have already here by doing a long press on the color. Then the color will be selected automatically. Go to my hard brush and draw a circle. I hold it, then I go to the quick shape and I make it a perfect circle. Fill in the color and do the same thing again. Draw a circular shape, hold it, go to the quick shape, press circle. Now it's a perfect circle. Drag the color inside. Now I create another layer underneath the layer with the water lilies and make a smaller circle underneath the other one. So later it will look like this leaf will be underneath the bigger one. I move it around a bit, fill it in. Now I go to my erasers, go to the studio pen, reduce the size and erase like a triangular shape from the leaf. Go to the other layer, do the same thing, erase a triangular shape from the leaf. I want to add some shading to those leaves in order to make them look more three-dimensional. I will go to my layer with the water lilies and alpha lock them, because then I can make sure when I add the shading I won't leave the actual shape. Go to my brushes, select the soft brush, go slightly darker with my color, and now I want to shade that leaf. The light is coming from the right top side, so I want the leaf to be a bit bent. So I add here a bit of shading, like the light can't reach that area that much. Go a bit brighter and highlight the other side of the leaf. Now I can unlock the layer. Go to the layer beneath that one. Choose a shadow color. Don't forget to alpha lock the layer and repeat the process. The area where the bigger leaf covers the smaller one, you can shade a bit darker. Adding some highlights on the opposite side. Then I unlock the layer. Then I add another layer on top of the leaves layers and draw some flowers. For that I chose a pale pinkish kind of color, but you can choose any color you want. Now I go to the arrow tool and I can rotate the shape, make it bigger, make it smaller, to adjust the position and the size. Now I go to the selection tool, click copy and paste, and now what you have done is you copied that layer. You can see that here. So now I can go to my arrow tool and move that shape around. Can rotate it, make it a bit smaller, and place it wherever I want. So you don't need to paint another flower, you simply duplicate it. So do the same thing again, click on the selection tool, copy and paste. You will see it here in your layers, and then you can move it around. Go to my layers, and these three layers we can now merge together. I go click the layer, alpha lock it, and now I want to add some shading. Go slightly darker with the color, go to my brushes, select the soft brush and add some shading. Now I go into my colors again, select a slightly brighter pinkish color and add some highlights. into my layer, unlock it. Now I create a new layer on top of it. Choose this dark orange color. Go to my brushes. Select the hard brush and make a little dot for the center of the flower. But you can choose any color you want. So now I want to create some details that are around the pond, like some grass, maybe some trees or more flowers. For that I will go to the layer above my soil layer. So I don't need to create a new layer because we already have enough. So that's the layer. I have all those grassy patches and patterns. And then I also draw some grass that comes from underneath that rock. So then I go to my layers, go to the layer on top of it, go slightly brighter with my color, and repeat the process. Now I go to my layers again, go to my topmost layer, create another layer on top of that. Go to my colors, choose a very dark brownish color, and I want to have like a tree branch coming from the outside into the picture. So for that I use my studio pen again and draw a branch. It's bigger in the beginning and then it gets thinner. And then I draw some smaller branches and I twirl them a bit. I make the shape look round like a spiral, but you can choose any shape you want. You can make them straight. You can make it go zigzag, it's up to you. Now I want to add some flowers on the branch. For that I will create a new layer. And in my brushes, I will go to the organic folder and choose the brush called Paper Daisy. So I choose that pinkish color and now I will only tap with that brush by simply pressing on the canvas. The more pressure you give, the bigger these leaves will be. Create a new layer, go to my colors, go slightly brighter again, and tap and make some random leaf shapes. You can make them a bit bigger or smaller. You can also choose another color if you want, maybe some yellow or blue. Go to my layers, create another layer on top of that. Go slightly brighter with my color and repeat the process. But make sure you have some gaps between those leaves. Otherwise later when we create the paper cut effect, we can't actually see the different layers. Then the lower right corner seems a bit empty, so I want to fill it and I want to create some sort of mist. For that I will go to my layers, go to the layer just above the branch. Then I go to my brush folder, stay in the organic section and choose the rainforest brush. And now in the right corner I draw some sort of mist. Go to the layer on top of it. Go again slightly brighter with my color. Draw some more mist. But I make sure I leave a gap between the first and the second layer, so we can see the paper cut effect properly. Go to the next layer and create some more mist. Now I create another layer on top of it. Go to my hard brush. And make some small dots everywhere around the canvas. You can make them bigger or smaller, just to make it more colorful. You can choose another color, some orange, and repeat the process. So it looks like we have some flowers scattered across the canvas. Change the color, maybe red. Now I see the area on the top right corner seems a bit empty, so I want to fill in some grass or maybe leaves. For that I will go to my layer above the branch layer. Choose a green color, go to my brushes, go to the organics, and then I will choose the snow gum brush. You can go bigger or smaller, and I do the same thing like I did before. I only tap and drag a little bit to create that pattern. I go to the layer above that, go slightly brighter with my color and repeat the process. Just tap and drag a little bit. Go to my other layer on top of it, go slightly brighter with my color and repeat the process. So now we have everything we need. We are basically done. What we need to do now is to add the paper cut effect. And for that, we have to go into our layers. There are a lot already. And we have to duplicate each layer by clicking on it, sliding to the left and clicking on duplicate. And we do that for all the layers, except the layer with the water surface. This layer we don't need to duplicate. So this one with the water pattern, we don't need to duplicate. So after we have duplicated all the layers, we will go to our colors, choose a dark blue color. And now we go to our layer we have duplicated and click on the little N here in the corner and scroll up and set it to multiply. Then we click on our layer, alpha lock it, click on the layer again, click on fill layer. So we fill this layer with the dark blue color we have selected, unlock the layer, and repeat the process for all the duplicated layers. Click on the little N, set the mode to multiply, click on the layer again, alpha lock it, then fill layer, click again and unlock. Don't forget to alpha lock, otherwise later we cannot have the paper cut effect. So I repeat the process for all my layers, except the one with the water surface. This layer we don't need to duplicate. You can see that I sometimes change the shadow color. For example, when I have a blue object, I choose a dark blue shadow color. When I have a green object, I choose a dark green shadow color. And when I have, for example, these leaves on a branch, they are pink, I choose a dark pink color for the shadow. So after we are done, we want to add the shadow, and we can do that by going to our first layer we have duplicated with the dark shadow color. Click on Adjustments, go to the Gaussian blur and slide with a pencil to the right to about 11 or 12%. Then I go into my layers again, go to the next layer I have duplicated, go to Adjustments, go to Gaussian blur, slide the pencil to the right until it says about 11 or 12%, and repeat the process for all the other duplicated layers. I don't need to do it for the layer with the water effect surface. When I'm done, I will go into my layers and select all my duplicated layers by clicking on the first one on the top and then sliding with my pencil to the right. That way I can easily select all layers I need. Except the one with the water surface. So after I have selected all my layers, I go to the arrow tool, and now I want to move all these shadow layers a bit down. What I do is I place my Apple Pencil outside the canvas and drag it just a little bit to the lower left corner. The further you move all your shadow layers down, the stronger the 3D effect will be and the darker the shadow. So this is how it looks like now. But we also want to add some thickness to our paper. And for that, we have to duplicate all our original layers once more. Not the duplicated one, but the original layer. So I click on it, swipe to the left and duplicate it. And we repeat the process for all the original layers. So now we have a lot of layers and it might be a bit confusing, so you have to be very careful to select the correct layer. So we go to our layer we have just duplicated. That's the one between the original and the shadow layer. Then we go to Adjustments, click on Hue, Saturation and Brightness and slide the brightness up to about 90%. I go back to my layers and you can see now it's white. I go to my next layer I have duplicated, go to Adjustments and set the brightness to about 90%. Go to my next duplicated layer, Adjustments, Brightness 90%, and I repeat the process for all the layers. But once again, for the layer with our water surface, we don't need to do that. So after we have done that, we will then select all our white layers by clicking on the first one and then sliding with our Apple Pencil to the right. And we will add some thickness to our paper. Then we go to the arrow tool and we do the same like before, but now we pull it into the opposite direction. And now you can see we have a highlight on every object and it looks really three-dimensional. The last thing we do is we want to give our project some sort of paper texture. You can find free images of paper or canvas texture on the internet. You can download these. Make sure they are white and not colored, because if they are colored and we add them to our project, all the colors will change. So it has to be some sort of white paper texture or canvas texture. So I go to Actions, click on Add a photo, choose a canvas or paper texture from my photo library and then magnify it and cover the whole canvas. Make sure that layer is on the very top. So after you have covered your whole project, you click on the little N, go to Multiply, and then you can see the paper texture covers all the items on your project. You can see on the top right corner, because we moved all the shadow layers to the lower left corner, it doesn't look good. To fix that, we click on Actions, then on Canvas, and then on crop and resize canvas. And we can cut this part. And that's it. That's our painting in paper cut design. I hope you enjoyed it and you were able to follow along. If you have any questions, please leave a comment in the comment section. I would be more than happy to explain more. Don't forget to check out my other videos and give this video a like, and maybe you can also subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you very much and goodbye.